John, we spent a little bit of time on some 2023s. One other one I want to ask you about, Arian Carter. Tennessee's going to try to get him on campus for the Kentucky game coming up a little bit. He was the one that blossomed with like 20 Power 5 offers in the span of a couple of weeks. What's the latest on Arian Carter? I think a guy that Tennessee would like to bring in and play a little linebacker.
Yeah, now it's visit time for him, right? He's setting up a ton of official visits. As you mentioned, Tennessee is going to get him on campus, the in-state school, which I think obviously, is going to lean heavily in the favoritism department for the current Memphis commitment. Look, Ohio State, LSU, Michigan, this has become, really the story of the football season, right? In terms of late bloomers, he's the guy. So for him to be, in Smyrna, in state for the Vols, I think is going to be advantageous. We talk about all these great offensive recruits, but the defensive class at Tennessee is looking good right now. And obviously there's a couple of heavy hitters that are still available in theory before signing day come December. And Carter will be one of those that a lot of people, sort of judge the Vols on, right? If he's a late riser and he's in your state and you're this hot, you got to kind of go grab him. And I would imagine it's going to be really tough for other schools to pull him out. But he is taking a lot of visits all over the country here over, I think, starting this weekend. So he's going to start to really open his recruitment. And it kind of feels like a total reset, right, Eric? No disrespect to Memphis. This is going to be a total reset of a recruitment. And it's going to be a lot of big names and blue bloods coming after him all at once. But you got to feel good about Tennessee's chances when all things double down because of that proximity.
2024, Tennessee picked up its third commitment in that cycle earlier this week, or actually on Sunday. Actually, it had nothing to do with the Alabama win. He was planning on making his commitment already, but still, MJ Bennett, one of the top players from the state of South Carolina, an athlete that is turning into a nice receiver. What's Tennessee getting in a guy like MJ Bennett?
Well, you don't want to make the Jalen Hyatt comparisons because he's another slender receiver from South Carolina. But look, there's a lot of explosive ability in this kid's game. He's just a natural football player. Whether you lined him up at safety, corner, or wide receiver, I think he would be able to have success at the SEC level. There's an element of production there. He's got the two-way experience you like as a DB and a pass catcher, but I just really like how natural he is. I mean, he tracks the football so very well, instinctive after the catch. He's got great length at 6 foot, a guy who's going to fill out and become more physical with 2 years left of high school football. That's kind of a given, but I really like where his natural game is at this point. So if and when he does start to solely focus on the wide receiver position, that technical aspect is going to catch up here in a hurry. The polish, the route running, all that stuff is going to hit another level just in time for, when he gets to Tennessee for good. So I think this is a nice get for the Vols. I do think other schools are going to stay involved here because it's so early in tracking the class of 2024. But again, offensively with what Tennessee's got coming in and already has shown on the field, I think it's going to be tough to have him budge, especially like you said, since he was already kind of on board silently before going public with the pick.
All right, so there are always some of those players in every single class, especially in-state players, that you need to go ahead and get to jump in the boat early to kind of mold your class around either offensively or defensively to help be a recruiter for you. And one of the best players of the state of Tennessee for the class of 2024 is set to make his commitments Friday after his football game. That would be Lipscomb Academy's Caleb Beasley. It's going to come down between LSU, Tennessee, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, and Clemson. This is a guy that's been on campus as late as last week, a guy that's has been, I mean, again, he's a Nashville kid, so it's easy to get over here, but he's been here a lot. I like Tennessee. I think Tennessee's in the driver's seat here. If Tennessee were to bring in Caleb Beasley on Friday, what type of get would that be, and kind of where are you thinking he's going to go?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is Tennessee's race to lose, especially with the upcoming verbal commitment on Friday. I think if it were to draw out and he were able to reset and maybe push it to official visit season, I thought that could potentially open things up for the other schools outside of the region. But yeah, I think the timeline, especially after that last visit, is really favoring the Vols at this point. And this would be a huch get. Not only a big name kid from a big name program, but going into Nashville has always been. Yeah, well, yeah, that too. Trent Dilfer, shout out there. Look, it's important to get Nashville kids. This is the Nashville and Memphis, from where I sit from a national standpoint, those are the areas where other programs have always kind of picked and prodded, right? Where you have to lock down if you're Tennessee in particular. And now as the profile of the Vol footprint grows, there's going to be more emphasis on those in-state kids. They've got to be more careful with the in-state kids that they truly target. But Beasley's been one of these long-time targets, no-brainer for the previous staff, the current staff, whoever's going to be on the new staff next year, whatever that looks like. This is a no-brainer, high-priority kid at a premium position at corner, which is, again, one of these spots where you need to see some improvement, right? It's been a great run, undefeated, all that stuff. You're going to be, if the rankings came out today for the playoff, you're going to be right in that race, but there's still work to be done on that side of the football and in the coverage department in particular. So I do think on that front, this is a very big deal for Tennessee looking ahead to 2024 as well. So he checks a ton of boxes at 6'1". Maybe he grows into a safety, but right now I do think he's got the technical ability and the hip fluidity to actually stay out as a big boundary type corner, which you need in this day and age with all these big receivers that go back shoulder, 50-50 balls, all that stuff.
Yeah, and if Tennessee does get him on Friday night when he does make his commitment announcement, they'll have to, continue to recruit and hang on to
Sure.
him because it's a long time away between now and National Signing Day. So we'll see what he decides to do on Friday night. I think Tennessee's in a good spot. John, thank you so much, man. As always, appreciate you being our guy, talking some recruiting. What's coming up? What can we read on your behalf for the next couple of days heading into another football weekend?
Yeah, we're getting close to another weekend and close to another rankings update with the class rankings. We're seeing new commitments, a lot of decommitments since October started. I think the carousel is starting to pick up. So there's going to be a lot of movement here in October and especially November on the recruiting scene. So just gearing up as much as we can as we get a little bit closer to signing day.